Okay, that's it. The show has started.
It has started?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have to do it, yeah. You're the.
No, you've been on here before.
Yes, I know that.
Right, so you've had like a slight bit of exposure.
And I've been in front of a classroom for many years.
Yeah.
So
this is the Pops. He intruded in on Aurora's show, I think, once.
what somebody's, yeah, we talked about that school stuff. What was it called? I forgot now, I don't like it much. Where they make you do certain curriculum.
Common Core?
Yeah, Common Core.
Yeah.
As a teacher, you don't want that kind of stuff. Teachers need to have more autonomy.
So what do you want to talk about? What's on your mind?
Well, what's on my mind is what occupies me, and that's life. You know, a lot of people, are born, they live, but they really don't have any real idea about why we're here. So they just do stupid things, they waste time, so forth. They just don't work in their own behalf. And or help other people too either. But to me, it seems pretty simple, why we're here. So.
And how do you best put that, your idea of why we're here?
Well, there's two things. One of them is learn good and evil, and do good, don't do evil. And the second one is, since God made us, and He wants us to be with Him forever in heaven, that we work towards that. We work towards going to heaven. And that's not in vogue these days, but everybody's going to be, we're all participating in it anyway. That's what I don't like, we're participating in some specific thing, and yet they act like they can just do whatever they want. But it's just not true. It's sad. I want to help people with that.
Yeah. That's always been a sticky subject. I've discussed that concept of heaven and hell, and I've gone into various aspects of it, but it's like that saying that everybody that you hear when you're growing up, they're like, don't talk about religion, politics, or what was it, government? No, religion, politics, or something else. There was 3 of them. Because that's what, for most people, these are like volatile.
Yeah, well, people have such strong opinions that you don't necessarily get much agreement, but you get a lot of statements of what's true without really being able to discuss it very much.
You have 7 billion different statements of truth.
Slightly different. Not completely different. Slightly different.
But generally speaking, people for the most part want to get along. That's what I've seen in my own exploring, is that you have to get along with the people. If you're not getting along with them, you're just at war, right?
Well, I don't see that to be true. I think mostly people like to comply so they don't stand out, and are different than everybody else. But I think most people's agenda is they want to get something for them. So that's what conflict comes from. They want to get things.
Yeah.
And they forget about the other people. But they don't want the other people to forget about them, but they don't mind forgetting about the other people.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I see. It's, like a lot of people think, well, people really do want to do good and right all the time, and usually something else intervenes and they just can't do what they really want to do. Mm-hmm. I don't think they do. I think they want to do stuff for themselves, and they want to avoid doing really bad stuff, but they don't mind taking chances.
Well, the the selfish thing, that, I mean, that's what people do that. I did that.
Yeah.
I lived in that for a long time. And it's just like, it's not something that you set out to do. It's just when you're in that mindset, that's what all of your actions are towards. You're always thinking about, like, I'm always thinking about, oh, I'm going to go get this thing. I'm going to do this thing. It's always with relation to me. And then if you get out of that mindset, then your emotions are connected in with everybody else who you're talking with, working with, doing whatever, and it's more of a mental collaboration that's happening even underneath the surface. It's not even necessarily that I'm talking to every single person that's involved, but the whole group like is aware of each other rather than just this like, because if you're in the first mindset, then you're thinking only in terms of yourself, and then the other people are kind of like tools almost for how you're doing the selfish navigation through the day.
Right. You do interact with them, but you're always looking for the things that will, aid you in what you want to do or what you think is right.
Right.
And to get what you want, kind of. But when you have kids, like all the kids we had, you have to start thinking of other people because everything you do, they're going to pick up, and you guys just like kind of get away from that adolescent mindset and start thinking, if I was the kid, what would I want my parents to be like? That's really what you have to do. Everybody needs to do that everywhere they go, but that particularly is something that makes you pay attention, whereas you may not have before. Even getting married is not the same, because getting married is kind of a beneficial thing both ways. Kids, it goes a lot to them, You spend a lot of money, time, you put up with a lot of, stuff that they do. Yeah. And, so you're thinking, but yet you have this tremendous love for them. That's like comes with them. And it's kind of surprising. Even a selfish person can kind of become unselfish with their own kids.
I've seen many people completely change just by having a kid.
Yeah.
Like they're in that selfish thing first, and it's like, gotta get this, gotta get that, gotta get my achievements and whatnot, And then they have the kid, and then their whole personality is just completely like transformed.
Right. I think when you have a child, the way you orient yourself towards that child, it's kind of opens your eyes, and you're thinking, wait a minute. This has been happening my whole life. I wonder what people think of what I've been doing,
Yeah.
It's just about how you conduct yourself is, like the kids kind of, they do what they want and stuff. And I don't know, I think it enlightens you to such a way that you see the world, and it's a different world than you saw before. Mm-hmm. So you have different responses, different things that you value. Yeah, having kids is the best thing ever. The more the better, I think. It just is, because you're all in. When you have a lot of kids, you're all in. You can't just like have a couple, take a few years off, and then go back to doing what you want.
Not if they're spanning 20 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, if you have a lot of them, too, it just goes forever.
Because you had Russell when you were 50, if I remember right.
Yeah. He was born. Yeah, because I was 50. My birthday was 2 days before his birthday, so I was 50 for 2 days, and then Russell was born. That's a lot of years that I already lived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the kids, and me having Jax is the same thing. It completely changed how I was looking at my own self, because at that point for me, it's not just me anymore. I can rationalize before that it's just me, and I'm just doing my thing, and
yeah, if you do stupid stuff, you will suffer, but not very many other people.
Yeah, like the whole I can handle it type of thing. But when a child comes in, then you just cannot do the only me thing anymore. It doesn't work. if you do that, then you become like a derelict parent or something.
Well, the thing is, if you're going to have kids and you do the only me thing, you're thinking, why did you ever have them?
Right.
Because when you have kids, your attentions turn away from yourself and you have to turn to them. And you want to, too. That's the key. You really want to, and you're thinking, man, it's a different feeling that you just didn't have before. And it's surprising, really.
It's a good thing, I think, because that's part of in the sort of studies that I've been in. I do meditation, study Buddhism, all these things, study the idea of what the self is and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even within my own self, when I was going through my dark night of the soul, when I was going through all this trauma stuff, the most painful part was that clutching of what the self-identity thought it was or thinks it is, right? And that was when I was in that like selfish mode. And that was the most painful thing. And that actually goes away. And when you're like immersing yourself in the other people and the rest of the life, that clutching thing that's fearful and painful and all of that, your focus can't even be on that anymore. So you can't even be like in that suffering if you're actually giving of yourself to the world and all the people, right?
Well, when you just have the self, then all of a sudden this huge responsibility for what happens to you is on your shoulders only. And it's a heavy weight. You're thinking, all my decisions, what should I do? What kind of job should I get? Should I get married? Should I have kids?
Mm-hmm.
It's all like, it's overwhelming. But if you focus outside, all of a sudden life kind of like, you start, flowing with life.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't really have to do this stuff anyway. You just have to really participate well so that when you enter people's lives, you bring good stuff. That's really all you need. It doesn't matter really all much how much you accomplish. Your accomplishments really are how well do you care and interact with other people. It's more than what you're doing. It's how you treat people. Even success, some people think the money or degrees or honors or accomplishments. It really is not those things. It's how you treated people along the way to get those things. That's what really counts. Because people will forget about those things, but they won't forget about how you interacted with them.
Yeah, they'll remember if you actually gave them some attention or if you actually saw them. A lot of people don't even see each other there. You can have two people talking to each other and like both of them are often projection mindland, and they're like the projection is talking to itself, and I don't even know where the human is, but there's some sort of just like people are discussing like old routines or old mental routines or something. I've had that sort of with many people. I'll talk to someone and they're just rehashing like an automatic memory or something, and I'm sitting there trying to talk to the human, and the human is somewhere else. Like I don't know.
It's like they're in a play and they're reciting lines that they've learned.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to not be in the play. You want to talk to the person and say, we're not in the play anymore. Let's talk real now.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's what I think should happen. I don't think there's enough reality. I mean, true reality in interactions. People hide things. They present stuff that they think people want or they admire, and they make it look like they're that way, but they're not that way. It's like a game they're playing. I want to know those people. And everybody's got barnacles and stuff. If they have to show those, they just have to show them. You got to get strong enough to be able to do that.
You got to be proud of your barnacles. Right?
Well, you got to be proud of being able to say, yes, I see that. Or expose it, or, somebody says, well, I noticed this and this. You don't deny it. You say, well, yeah, wasn't so good. I didn't think too much there. You got that. People want real people. Otherwise, you're not getting people, just like you were talking about. You're really not getting people. You're getting a play.
Mm-hmm.
It's not real. So like what goes on TV and movies and stuff and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You're getting what people are excited about or what they want to see rather than them.
But that whole thing got born out of. It's like a cycle that repeats and reinforces itself, because this idea of everybody going and watching TV after they come home from a job that they hate, they want to escape like that trauma and suffering, and then they go to watch pretty people do like live their lives. So they're not living while they're at work, and they're not living when they're coming home. They're always either suffering or trying to escape the suffering.
Yeah. We don't live authentic lives, and we're not taught to either. We're taught to accomplish, not to be. You got to be.
Mm-hmm.
So then your accomplishments will come. People will like you. All that comes.
And you can release those too, because like you can also get stuck in your accomplishments, and you can like you walk around all day. Say you did something really good and got a medal or a prize or something. That thing can live on in you for forever, you know, and you'll just be sitting there. Oh, I just did this thing. I feel so great. But then all the time you're sitting there like living in that thing. You're not even in your life that's actually happening right now, because you're sitting there thinking about the medal that you
I
won,
know.
5 years ago or whatever. So people get stuck in thought space, like even trauma and resentment, all that stuff. It's thought space that people are just stuck in, and you don't have to be. Like your present moment is your present. This is the life already. It's right here. It's not something that you have to go searching out or something.
But if you hash over the old stuff, you're not living anymore.
Right.
I mean, well, you can do a little. I mean, you can reminisce. You can feel kind of good about stuff you did,
Mm-hmm.
and try to correct stuff you didn't do so well. But the space ahead is what you're really doing. That's what you're creating. You know, a scenario. And people are going to see it. You know, like you're creating a movie that they're watching. And you're thinking, you don't think that, but that's what happens. All your life, everybody observes you, especially when you get kids, and especially when you're in school and you're a teacher. They watch every last thing you do. They know every innuendo. They could tell you everything about all the teachers pretty detailed and pretty accurately.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you're presenting a live movie. And I think if people thought about that more, they would do a lot better job on the script. I don't.
That's what I've been saying. I was like,
Oh
you
my
guys.
gosh.
I said that recently. I was like, the only problem with the world is that we have bad writers. Like, we need to get some more creative writers in there.
Well, we need to be, we need to be inspired to do those kinds of things, like learn and experiment to try to live a good life that brings light, brings happiness, brings peace, brings joy to people, instead of just going through the motions.
Yeah, because going through the motions for what? Like, how long can you do that without actually living in your own life? Like, how long, theoretically, would people do that? Like, they're not living, really. They're in suffering, and they're not happy. And they're just really in projection land. Like, how long can that go?
Forever. They're on pause, though. See, they're on pause in their own self. Our society doesn't really inspire people to create good lives. They just don't. And I think the main reason is because they're afraid that if they set standards, people out there will feel bad, like if they're not doing it. Mm-hmm. It all started I think in the 70s, this warm fuzzy stuff, where you're supposed to always compliment kids and always say they did a good job and give awards to everybody that participated.
Participation trophies.
Yeah. So that people don't feel bad. Well, giving participation trophies for not doing much of anything good is a big fat lie. I mean, that's not a good thing to teach them. And then the stuff we do teach them is how to make money, how to look good, how to conform so that people, say they admire you or whatever. You think they admire you, they probably don't. Most of the time, when you talk, they don't even listen. They mostly are thinking about what they want to say next.
Uh-huh.
And, really, our society is not helping. We're a consumer society, which, I don't know, I've just thought about lately. I'd say we have 3/4 of all workers, or maybe 80%, that are involved in peddling products, services, school, whatever, rather than, just like it's a profit motive. It's like free enterprise. They spend all their talents doing that, money doing that. It's a waste. We need to learn how to be good people and teach that to people. But they're afraid to do that. That's a sad thing. They're
It doesn't. That type of mentality doesn't help the machine do its machine thing, which is like make money, destroy everything, destroy the environment, have people be suffering. Whatever this machine that we're kind of society machine, whatever it is, it's not interested. Like the sort of being good to people and being kind or being creative and this and that. It's not fuel for that thing. That thing wants repetition. It wants mass production. It wants, everybody tuned into the same frequency and not causing trouble. Like that's what it wants. It's not really benefiting from people being creative and open and honest and all that stuff.
I know, but why did we let this beast get so big? Really, I mean, honestly, Garrett, it's destroying society because our values are there. Or even in sports, if you're real good at some sport, everybody admires it, wishes they were like that. I mean, that's entertainment. It's about all it is. Mm-hmm. We need to work on who we are inside. Then you get a good society. That's how you get it. You have good people make a good society. Selfish, lousy people make a lousy society. And we're not working real hard on doing that. We're working to inspire people to, do sports, make a lot of money, get a big degree, accomplish certain things that people value that aren't really that valuable. And it just goes on and on. But sometimes people get caught up in professions where actually the profession is doing the opposite of that. Like teaching where I was, you get the feeling like you have all these kids in front of you that are your kids. And you start feeling responsible for them. And you start not looking at you, but you start looking at what are you presenting to them to help them be happy, be better people. And another profession that does that is nursing. You're taking care of people. You get this tremendous feeling of accomplishment and happiness and joy that these people are, helped by you, really helped. Mm-hmm. And then, but those are just few and far between. Most people are working real hard in some office somewhere to write up stuff about how to promote a product or how to make a product. And a lot of the products, if people even get them and use them, they're not good for them. The product's not really good. And yet, that's what I don't get. Why are we putting, the emphasis on this creating products, enticing people, and then selling them as the number one activity in all of life? That shouldn't be.
Well, the way I understand that thing is that it's like we talked about before, like good versus evil essentially is like the ego self versus the God or the existence itself as life. Like life itself is not the same thing as the ego self. The ego self is the one that separates itself out. It has an identity, has a personality, and then it wants to puff itself up, right? It wants to like look good, feel good, all this stuff. Mm-hmm. So from what I can see, the corporations that are doing the kind of maybe raping the environment or taking advantage of everybody or selling them bullshit they don't need, that corporation is being run by somebody who's in the ego self. Because that's the best way that it can feel big is by having this giant corporation. Now ego is like, I have all these, controlling all these people, I'm doing all this stuff, I have all this money, and it just wants more and more and more, never gets enough.
But the thing about that is, they may make, millions and maybe even billions of dollars, but they don't really benefit from that money a whole lot, I don't think. You know what I think they benefit from? The excitement of chasing that money and having people admire them because they've accumulated so much. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what they're really, really getting. But what are the people that are all caught up in that getting? Thoughts that money is really important.
Well, it goes down the chain. It goes down the hierarchy. So the top guy is like, we need more money. The lower guys are like, we can't make as much money as that guy, but we can make lots of money. So the chain of feeding that ego identity just goes on down the line. And the whole thing is ridiculous anyway. Like Bezos, right? He's making over 100 billion, or he has 100 billion. He became the most richest man in the world, I think, recently.
Right.
He does Amazon, right?
And how long has he been doing that? Not very long, really. It's been around 10 years or something.
It's been around for a while. I don't know.
Not very long in the scheme of things. young people come out, all of a sudden they're doing this. Other people have been working their whole life for centuries and never get close to that.
Yeah. I was like, you can only drive one car at a time. If you have 100 cars and 1,000 different residences you're owning and controlling, you're not controlling all that. If anything, you're delegating lots of stuff and talking to your secretaries and getting all in the drama and stuff. But as a human being, $100 billion doesn't even really mean
Well, most of that money is tied up in the making of money. Buildings making money, people planning to make money in big, tall buildings, and people, doing paper and research and all that. They're all doing that kind of stuff. It just seems like, I don't know. I think that's one of the problems with society is that people do work. That maybe they're really good at their work, but they just don't feel like they don't get this proud feeling that they did a good job. I mean, I don't know.
Well, if you're a cog in that machine, you're not going to get good feelings because cogs aren't supposed to be feeling good. They're supposed to be performing a function.
Yeah, and the better that they do, the more the money the company makes.
They're supposed to be feeling. This is why it's backwards, because they're supposed to be feeling good by virtue of the money they're receiving. They're supposed to go buy happiness. Like that's how the machine would have people believe, and that's what a lot of people do believe. That's why everyone's out doing competing with the Joneses and whatnot, because they think that's the game they're supposed to be playing here. But
well, they are playing that game because see, even the house they get, the car they get, the job they get, degrees they get, or whatever. Those, don't even make them happy. They don't even use those things. In fact, they're like props in a play, to make everything look really nice.
But they never start doing the play.
Yeah,
it's like everybody's been spending their whole life putting the props together so they can make the movie or whatever.
Yeah, then they forgot that they were supposed to make a play. Yeah. Right? It's not like you're really trying to have satisfaction in what you're doing. It seems like the focus is on watching what other people are preferring and liking, and trying to provide that so they'll like you. It's kind of like that. In other words, if you have the right kind of car, you throw the right kind of parties.
Well, it's
if you dress right, then people are going to think well of you. That's kind of what they're looking for. They're looking for goodwill more than anything.
But people are also they're waiting. Like, imagine if you're preparing for something, right? Like, someone says, there's this thing coming up, you need to prepare for it, you need to get stronger mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, everything, and then this thing is going to happen, and you're going to be it. You're going to be doing it, living it, whatever. That's what people get caught up in, is they're preparing to, start living their life somehow. Like, if I can finally start living after I get this much money, after I get this kind of girlfriend, after I fix my teeth, or cut my hair, or get enough tattoos, travel the world, or whatever. They keep the mental thing going, and it's like you can do that your entire life. You can prepare for living every second of your entire life and die without ever having done the thing yet. Like, actually get in there, start moving around and actually doing it, rather than just thinking and planning and all that stuff.
Yes, and another thing that I've noticed is when you buy happiness, at least in my opinion, for me, if you buy happiness, in other words, you have to pay a lot of money to do something, those things never bring what you hope they would. That, for me, the simple stuff have brought me a lot more happiness than anything I've bought.
Yeah.
And then people say, well, it's because I need to change, go on a different cruise, or, get a different job, get another house, and that will do it. Mm-hmm. And they just keep going through that. It never works. Like I was telling you before, it's like 70% of the people who work don't like their jobs. That's why they keep switching. Mm-hmm. And then I just very, very recently I was thinking, okay, I remember Einstein said, the definition of insanity is you do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. Mm-hmm. In other words, they're trying to buy houses, it never works, so they think they'll do it a little bit different version of it, and they're going to get happy, but they never get happy. Happiness doesn't come from outside. Happiness comes from in here. When you're happy with you, that is what makes you happy. And when you're happy with you is when you can look in there and say, there's a good person that's living in there. I do good things. Mm-hmm. I'm happy when I go to bed at night, look over my day's activities. That's what makes people happy. It doesn't even have to be anything great.
Yeah.
And the thing that makes people unhappy is they look at themselves and they don't like themselves. They don't, Gary. We don't teach people to know how to be happy. We just say you buy it. That's what I think. You just buy it. And not only buy it, but most of the happiness comes from telling other people what they did. Like the cruise. Even the cruise was really lousy. When they tell people what they did, then their happiness starts to flow in. Because they think that
they're like, I did the thing, I gotta show somebody.
Or a lot of people take so many videos and pictures that they never experience the thing when they're there.
I've taken people in San Francisco from a hotel to the Golden Gate Bridge, and they took one picture, and they got back in the car, and I took them straight back to their hotel.
You didn't notice anything along the way, or anything?
I don't know. Someone told them that if you go to San Francisco, you have to take a picture at the Golden Gate Bridge, and they were like fulfilling that social contract thing, whatever.
Well, it gives them, one of these landmarks that everybody sees. They know where that came from. So they said, "You must have been in San Francisco. You were in San Francisco." My goodness. Yeah,
you can't fail but get some admiration if you post a picture of yourself on. So like people are trying to, I don't know. I feel like it's been rolled out where people are trying to do only the fail-safe things. Like for sure if you do this, you'll get some response or admiration or some whatever. Like people are doing that, but that's like the most boring possible way you can live your life. And then you're not even appreciating the bridge.
Plus, if you're trying to get approval from the masses, people, how good are the masses at actually improving anything that's good? Why do we need their approval? You know what I mean? A lot of times we do stuff to impress people because that impresses them, but it doesn't impress you.
Right. And it doesn't really impress them. They're just
it's all
it's like a mirror. Then they're thinking, oh, you think that it's supposed to be done, and then they say, oh, I see that thing that he did, and I think that's how the whole rest of society says it's supposed to be done. And so it's like, it's branching out like that, but inside of yourself, if it doesn't actually feel like, oh, this is something I want to do, or this is somehow helping me, then why are you doing it?
Well, the thing is, we seem to make decisions by doing stuff will impress people, mm-hmm. rather than I want to go there, this is good, this is right, this is good for, this or that or the other thing. We focus too much on the evaluation of our fellow man. And right now, they're not good evaluators. They really aren't. That's how come we have reality TV, Gary. Most of this is just junk. My opinion. Sorry, YouTube people.
No, there are some good shows.
Well, of course.
I like Netflix.
Of course. You can find good shows, but it's most garbage. I don't think the internet really, except this right here, people.
These people will understand.
Yeah.
We I think most of them know, but you had no TV in the house, like us growing up.
Right, from 1984 on.
Yeah. Yeah, George Orwell. But
I didn't even realize that when we just got rid of it because my oldest was 5 years old, and I just thought, the Lord was telling me, because I was going to have a lot of kids. This was always the plan. Mm-hmm. He said, look, if you're going to raise good kids, the Lord said, you got to get rid of that thing. That's what he said. We got rid of it in 1984, and it never came back. Yeah. Except down from the attic when the kids found it up there, and
I went up in the attic sometimes.
They plugged it in until I caught them.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it kind of perverts everything. So they became really good readers too, because
that box is a prime method utilized by whoever to program the masses, and that thing tells people, even if not directly, but it tells people, because all the pretty people are on there doing things and talking certain ways and having certain ideas and wearing certain clothes.
Yeah.
So people are getting programmed to want to talk like that, to want to wear those kind of clothes, to want to do those kinds of things. But at the same time, even if they were doing something good, every person is unique. Like, you can only do really what you yourself is supposed to do and what you're supposed to do. If you're sitting there trying to copy anybody, then you're not even living.
Well, the thing is, this is what I think. if you're copying people, then your view of your ability to live your own life is pretty low.
Yeah.
For me, I always figured I could do life better than other people tell me. I just do what I think is right.
Right.
I don't care what they think.
Most people don't know how to live their own lives, let alone try to give an example of how to, like, everybody's been playing this copycat game. They're all trying to copy each other. They're trying to copy the social norms, or they're trying to copy what the pretty people on TV are doing, and it's not making for a pretty society. It's making for a machine-looking cog
It's
society.
all homogenized. Everybody looks the same, or at least they're trying to. And if you ever do anything out of the norm, like a lot of times we did stuff out of the norm, like I would just load the kids in the car and we just go to the mountains. Mm-hmm. How many people do that? Almost nobody.
Because there are scary things in the mountains.
Well,
you might get eaten by a bear or something.
Or they might think they would get all bored up there. But
they would get bored. They'd be like, "Where's the iPad?"
Yeah, but it was so.
That's what this thing, even the iPads and the iPhones they're like pacifiers now for babies. Parents will just, the kid's crying, here, eat this. Like, they throw the iPhone at them, and then baby's like, squirrely things in their eyes, like just zoning out.
Well, they're using them to babysit.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to be taking care of them. I don't know. I don't like that all. Horrible.
But that thing is going to everybody who's like just hooked into technology all day, is getting fed that stuff, that same whole mindset that's like, obey, don't think for yourself, everything's okay, like just do the social norms, all that stuff. It's what I'm saying is it's worse now for our own children that are being exposed to that than it's been hard for me even with not being exposed to that, let alone I can only imagine if I was growing up just getting fed through the iPhone all day, like what I wouldn't even have the possibility to have something inside of me that says, oh, maybe I'm alive, maybe I should go do something.
The variety of what you typically would get, if you had lived a normal life, you see a lot of other people, real people, you would do things, and there would be a lot of stimulus to show, all the variety of things. But nowadays, everybody does the same thing. They're on the phone all the time, or on their computer, or they're playing video games, or surfing the internet. We're producing the stuff that comes in that's really beneficial is not coming in anymore, and in its place is all this stuff that's just I don't know, nothing. It's like junk.
It's nothing. It's literally.
It just turns people into junk.
Yeah.
You need some character in there. You need some motivation. You need some like passion.
Yeah.
To go do things or whatever, and actually be yourself. It's hard to be yourself.
You need also you need support around you of people who see and support you being your individual, creative, unique self. Like, that's the hard part for a lot of people, is they don't have that support because everyone around them is doing the mindless drone thing, and they can't even see this person sitting there being unique and creative, and they don't get any feedback. So they're like, oh, I must not even be doing anything nice here. Like, maybe I should stop doing that. That's another difficult part, is finding that network that will actually support you in doing that.
That's why I like to coach cross country, because all the glamour and everything's gone, and all the pain comes in. But even in the midst of that, it has there's two things that really happen. About three things. One is that you get to be with people in a very intimate way all the time. In the meets, practice, and everything, you talk, and you actually get real friendships going. But you also get to the point where you have to put in a lot of effort to get something out. And you have to, in other words, you got to pay a price. You don't just turn on a thing, electronically turn it on, and it starts to serve you. If you want something out of cross country, you're going to have to put in months of running. Mm-hmm. Boring running, kind of, I guess. I don't think it's boring.
Most people don't understand.
They're
like, why would you just go run for no reason?
But anyway, it has the success you get is one of the few where you have to put a lot of pain in. a lot of time, a lot of effort, and what you get doesn't seem to match it. But when you get success, even if you're not running fast, if you ran faster and faster and faster, you look at yourself and you get this great feeling about what you did, that you really did a hard thing, and you were able to do it. It gives you a sense of power that you don't have to always be plugged in and pay for all this happiness. You can actually do stuff that you feel is really worthwhile and get, it's tremendous satisfaction for those kids in the cross country. And if, I don't know, people out there know much about the race. There could be 200 kids in a race, one comes in first. That one looks kind of pretty, really good. And then the next two come in, not too far behind. They look pretty good. Then the masses start coming in. None of those look like they're any good runners. But every runner's good. If they're out there racing, they're good. Having the courage to go out and race and put themselves right on the line with all kinds of people watching. Yeah. That's what we need. Those kind of accomplishments way better. Then you develop yourself as a person.
Well, then it's also you're competing against, yes, the other runners, but also against yourself because you're trying to beat whatever time you had and all that stuff.
Right. And everybody knows that, too, that are out there. They know that a kid's not really that great of an athlete, but they're put out day after day, week after week, and they keep getting better and better. And sometimes they get pretty good, actually. Some of the kids when we first started with them, I was wondering if they ever ran in their life, They don't look like it. But, if they stick with it.
Did you ever get some really chubby kids coming in and they just lost all their weight? Or most of it?
Mostly it's not chubby. There are some. Most of the ones that aren't very good are just not athletic. And their body's just not really structured that well for any sports. But running, you just get better and better. It's, we've had kids that really run slow, but everybody cheers them on too. It's like they get a lot of support from their teammates, no matter how they run. That's another thing that happens in the cross country is that you start valuing the person and not the accomplishment. Because a lot of times the kids in the cross country meet, some kids could come out in like 2 or 3 minutes later than the first ones, or maybe 5 minutes. And the teammates are a lot of times cheering. They would come back to the finish and cheer those kids on when they're coming in. One of the last few that are still on the course.
Yeah, it'll be done like 5 minutes or 10 minutes before like your teammate. You can cheer them on.
Yeah, and what it does is it starts to let the cheerers value human beings. Because anybody watching that race wouldn't value the racing at all. But these kids are knowing that person, are valuing that effort they put out, even knowing they weren't going to run that fast. Because it's just pretty obvious real quick how fast kids are.
Right.
And yet they're cheering those people on. And those kids are embraced in the team just like they're as good as the best kid. That's what I like about it. It's a whole...
While not doing the homogenized thing, like while not saying, everybody should be super fast. No, it's like everyone's appreciated for their actual effort that
That's
they
right. That's right.
It's about your personal effort. It's not about, because everybody can't be number one, obviously.
So, of course not. When you have 200 kids racing, there's only one out of those that can be number one.
Right.
And the other ones aren't lousy, and but
sometimes they tell themselves they're lousy because of that. But
anyway, that little microcosm of life I really like. A lot of times it also attracts the shy kids that really don't fit in a lot of other places. Here, they got their own group. They have success. They go on trips together. I mean, it really is unbelievable. But that model is not played out very many places in life. That's what I think. They'll do false stuff. These kids are cheered on because they're doing really a good performance for what their ability is. But what society does is they give them stuff that for accomplishing nothing a lot of times. Yeah. That's a lie, and it's really what I see. The message is that you're saying, This kid is so devoid of ability to accomplish stuff. We just have to reward them anyway, for something.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're saying they're worthless. We're not saying, hey, let's go try here.
Right.
We're giving up on them.
Right.
That's what the message is. I think that's what welfare is too, honestly. I don't like welfare. There's a few people that need it, but a lot of people just give up in life. They just say, okay, take care of me, government.
It's not even taken care of, though. You're getting enough to barely survive.
But what they're telling
not to
those
mention
people,
the social stigma that comes with it.
Right, but what the message that the people are getting, that are getting welfare, is that we have determined that you can't take care of yourself. You are pretty worthless. You don't have much talent. You don't have much of anything. And we've got to give you money to keep you out of our hair. Otherwise, you'd be on the streets causing trouble, stealing or whatever. That's what the message I think they're getting. That should not be happening. I don't know. I think I would make work for them that really is needed, but not necessarily make a profit, and get them to get out there, earn some money where they actually did something. Then they'll start elevating them. That's what people need. They need self-esteem. They need to look at themselves and say, there's a good person there. That's what makes happiness.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing that makes happiness. You look at yourself and you're thinking, hey, I'm proud of me. I'm doing well. Not well because you're making a lot of money, but because I'm good. I'm doing good things every day. I'm happy with what I did. I'm not ashamed of it. That's what we don't do enough of. We need to encourage people, and not falsely either. You can't falsely encourage them to say they're doing well when they're not doing well. You're saying, well, you're not doing so hot, but you need to get better. You can get better. It's more like that. Reality.
It's just a matter of actually, like when you're speaking with someone, actually speaking with them, like not speaking at them, not talking about social norms or what's supposed to be happening or what's not. No, like you actually talk with the person as they are. That's what people actually need. They don't need the other thing. They have enough of that other thing.
Well, the thing is, most conversations, I think, unless you really are around people all the time, they never get into the people's lives. They don't really know what they're like. They don't know what they do outside of your conversation. You don't really know them. You don't know what they're feeling. You don't know what they've gone through. You don't know much unless you really take some time. We just don't take enough time to let people put out who they are, what they've struggled with, their experiences in life, all kinds of stuff. It's just fascinating to me. I'm fascinated by people.
And they're all different. If you don't whitewash them mentally and you actually talk to them, every single one of them is completely different. Even
our kids, our 9 kids are vastly different. Mm-hmm. We don't have very many same.
We don't have any.
I don't think we have any, really. They're just them.
Yeah.
But it's really fun.
It's a wild, rowdy bunch.
Yeah, they're not really rowdy.
They're
they're just themselves. They're alive. I'd say that. But I don't know. People always frown on having a lot of kids. We had 9 kids. I don't know. Gary probably told you guys.
I think some of them know.
Yeah, but anyway, I always wanted a lot. I always wanted 8, and then I met my future wife, and we talked about it a couple of weeks after we met, because I wanted to alert these women to the fact that I wanted a lot of kids and see if I could find somebody. Anyway, I told her I wanted 8. And she says, well, I wanted a lot too. I don't think she wanted that many. But anyway, having these kids to me, gosh, it brings such activity and joy and energy and interest, and I don't know. It's fascinating to have kids.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. I've never regretted 1 second.
Yeah.
It's just, and then you have a chance to put input into them, teach them about life, teach them a lot of things, so they can grow up, be happy. That's basically it. Have them grow up and be happy.
Dad has a website, or he's writing a story and also having a website where he posts blogs, not blogs, but
I call them articles.
Articles.
Yeah. I write about 4 or 5 handwritten pages, then I type it up and put it on there.
And how often are you posting on there?
Every week.
Like once a week?
every week. It was before. It was a little bit more than once a week, but I've settled down to once a week. Yeah.
Okay. So anyone here who would like to read any of those or go say hello to him, I'm gonna put the links in the description box, and yeah, go say hi.
Yeah. It's all about just trying to give people my experience in life and help them to be successful. Really, anything at all. But it's Christian based. It's Christian based.
Well, there are a lot of Christians out there.
Yeah, I know. Actually, I just wrote it up in one of my articles. It says there's 2.3 billion Christians in the world out of 7 point something billion people. That is a lot. It's over 30%.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've been kind of building up to doing this a long time, going through life and learning things and
Yeah.
gaining wisdom and whatever. And I just wanted to just give it to the people on this website.
Well, I think that's about wrapping it up. We're coming close to an hour.
That long already?
Yeah. These shows are a time zone. Time goes away.
I know. It's just like classroom. When I was in classroom teaching, I would always watch the clock because I always make sure I got in all the teaching I needed to do.
Yeah.
So, man, it go by fast. I never got bored at work.
Yeah.
Yeah, teaching is never any boredom. At least in my classroom. Not boredom there.
Yep. So,
And Gary was in my class.
Oh, man.
2 classes, yeah. Algebra 1, Algebra 2.
Yep.
He was a good student. He got A's.
What happened every time you called out that Gary got a 100% or an A+? What happened every single time?
Groans?
No.
What?
They're like, oh, sure.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They were acting like I cheated and gave him the grade.
Yeah, like you're sitting there tutoring me for 3 hours a day or something. I almost never went to you, I think, for math help. Very, very rarely.
No, you guys picked it up pretty well.
I didn't ever defend against those accusations, though. I thought
No, they wouldn't have said that if they thought that was true. Believe me, they did not think of that of me. They didn't really think that. They knew I would
teasing.
never. Yeah, they liked
a lot
they
of
liked to
teasing.
tease. They knew I would never do that.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm the exact opposite. If you got a C plus or whatever, I'd give you a C plus, not a B minus. Or if you got B plus, I wouldn't make it up to an A.
Yeah.
The kids have to earn their everybody did, all the kids in the class too.
You earn what you got, right?
Yep. That way it has value.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks for the show, and we'll see what happens.
You're welcome.
His name is Dave, by the way. David.
Dave.
Dave.
Yeah, Dave.
Bye, people.